Hey, good morning. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. Got my coffee. West Angeles Community Development Corporation. That's what we're going to be talking about this morning. Yes. How y'all doing today? It's Thursday, the 20th of January. This month is just roaring by, isn't it, right? 2022 is on and popping, as they say. They say a year ago today, we were inaugurating the president and the vice president, President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. Kind of got a problem up there at the Capitol Hill, don't they? You know, a lot of things going on in terms of trying to get the country, back stable, what they say, build back better and all of this. They defeated the voting rights bill last night. I have a lot to say about that. And maybe, next week we'll find a little bit of time, to try to explore that, get some of our experts on here to talk about voting rights. We touched on it a little bit with Jan Perry earlier in the week. We touched on it with Mark Whitlock. Hopefully you guys, Pastor Mark Whitlock, hope you guys signed that petition that we circulated across our platforms and been going around social media and all of your culturally relevant platforms all across the country, where they were encouraging us to write our senators and our people up on Capitol Hill to pass the voting rights bill, but they didn't do it. So for me, just letting us know where we stand in this country we call America. The lady used to say on the radio, the struggle continues, but always to God be the glory. So while we're giving God glory, we know that we still have a lot of work to do right at home in our own communities. We have to take care of our own. We're promoting that all the time here on Coffee Conversations, on beatcityradio.com, all of our different platforms, Afro Pop Radio. We're really all about self-determination. That's what I think is key to the struggle right now. I think gone are the days where we're really trying to, wait on them, to do for us. We've got to do what we need to do, utilize our own institutions, support our institutions in the community that have been doing the doggone thing, helping us uplift our community, doing for ourselves, And in my opinion, the Black church has an essential role in that. And like we were talking with Pastor Mark Whitlock the other day on Martin Luther King Day, it's essential. The Black church has, in some generations, maybe forgotten where it needs to be and how it needs to help the community. On the other hand, there are churches that have a legacy of building community, creating sustainability, educating our people, teaching our people how to fish, if you were, getting us out of the mindset of always looking for a handout, but giving us a hand up, giving us the tools that we need to survive in this system in America. So I thought today would be a good time to talk about an organization that's near and dear to my heart. And I'm just happy to be on the board of directors there. And the reason I have linked shoulders with them since they started, a couple generations ago, I've been around this organization, it's just because I believe that this is what the role of the church should be, right, in our community, in the Black community, in the Black and brown community, in the, as they say, the inner city. So we're talking about the West Angeles Community Development Corporation, and invited the executive director, Dr. Belinda Allen, is here this morning to sip coffee. I'm sipping coffee in my West Angeles Community Development cup. Good morning, Dr. Belinda Allen.
Good morning, Greg J. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I actually meant to bring some of your coffee into the office today so I could sip and have a conversation with you. But I forgot.
Right. Because you get to get it at the after party.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, first of all, how you doing today? We're still out here in this COVID environment. You doing okay? Family okay?
Yes,
How are you doing?
yes, everybody's doing well. Praise God. We're here at the office. On some days, we're, of course, working a hybrid schedule, making sure only one department is coming into the office per day, each day. So we're off, working virtual and coming into the office a few days during the week.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? There might be somebody out here watching that says, okay, what's the West Angeles Community Development Corporation? So tell the people, what is the CDC?
Well, I'd like to start with our mission, Greg. And our mission is to increase social and economic justice, demonstrate compassion, and alleviate poverty as tangible expressions of God. And we do this through the vehicle of community development. So we're here doing exactly what Jesus has instructed the church to do. If you look at Matthew 25, he talks about, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I needed clothes, you clothed me. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. And so our West Angeles CDC, we're called to serve the underserved and the brokenhearted. And we do that through our various programs we have three programs here, three departments: our community assistance, our financial wealth building, and then we have our community affordable housing department.
All right. Well, look, let's take it. Well, before we get into that, how long have you been associated with the CDC?
Well, I have been associated for over 20 years, of course. As you know, I retired from aerospace. I was over there for about 38 years. And after retiring, I was already on West Angeles CDC's board of directors for over 20 years. And at that time, I think my 8th month of retirement, we needed executive director here. And someone on the board said, well, Belinda's not doing anything anymore. Let's put her over there. And I was fighting it for a few months, and eventually I yielded. Nonprofit is what I love. Even at the Boeing company, I was on their charity board for 10 years. So volunteering and doing community work, serving leadership, that's me. And as executive director, I believe this is my 5th year now.
Wow, wow. And you come through, look, you have Dr. Belinda Allen, you have Chinua Thrash Intook, you have Dr. Lula Bolton. My goodness.
Yeah. And it's something you
Hall
say
of Fame right there.
Yeah, it's something you say that, Greg, because I was thinking, as you know, back in 1994, Bishop Blake and Dr. Bolton co-founded West Angeles CDC. And what Bishop Blake has actually created here is a platform for dealing with social, economic, and gender challenges that we face. He's empowering women. West Angeles CDC is the largest faith-based CDC in the Church of God in Christ in the world. And I'm a female and leading this CDC. So we're addressing more than just social economic. And this also proves that faith-based.
From your heart of hearts, how important is it for the Black church to take such a role of community development, community assistance? Like, what do you feel from your heart? We were talking to Pastor Mark Whitlock the other day, and I know you know him very, very, very well.
Oh, yes.
And he was very exceedingly compassionate about the role of the Black church in our current struggle in America. It's essential, in his words, that we, as the Black church, do the things that we do in terms of, building affordable housing, all of the things you just mentioned that the CDC does. He was exceedingly compassionate about the role of the Black church in those spaces. And what's your sense of it? Do you think this is the right thing to do with regard to the Black church being in the community?
Absolutely, Greg. As I started off with the scripture, because faith-based is all about God. Faith-based makes it inclusive, so that it's not about denomination or religion. It's faith-based, it's spiritual, and because it's what God has ordained us to do all through the Bible, the Black church definitely has to be a part of that. And so I'm proud to be part of West Angeles CDC because Bishop Blake had the vision to not only save souls in the church behind the four walls, but to go out into the beloved community and make sure that the community is whole. And that's what the church is all about. And it is our job.
Mm-hmm. You know, we dissected that term the other day, the beloved community, and really gave the people something to chew on, something to think about in terms of the beloved community, what that means, and the work that's being done out here in these communities by not only West LA CDC, but other organizations that are faith-based. Do you find a lot of challenges in these days and time? I mean, some people are saying, you know, even Pastor Mark was describing how a lot of churches have kind of gotten away from what they're supposed to be doing in the community. And, you know, therefore we're losing, you know, we're kind of losing influence, if you will, in our communities. Do you find difficulties in expressing the mission of the West Angeles CDC among folks in the community?
Well, that's interesting because I actually Googled beloved community because I know beloved is mentioned in the Bible when Jesus talks to Peter, but I actually looked it up because we use that word so many times, and it's a holistic approach. You know, it's decent schooling, housing, jobs, it's everything. It's making the community whole. And fortunately, when I talk to our funders, our partners about our needs and the community needs, I have to say, Greg, and I tell Bishop Blake all the time, they tell me, Belinda, we know Bishop Blake. We know all the wonderful things he's doing at the church and for the community. You don't have to give us the long script. We're in with you. What do you need? And, you know, and even during the pandemic, I mean, God bless our banks, our councilman, Marquise Harris Dawson. So many just called the CDC and said, what do you need? You know, what are you seeing? We're there for you. We've had different individuals we had someone who donated their stimulus check. I don't know who they were. They just donated the entire, I think it was $2,000, the first one. And so fortunately for West Angeles, again, because Bishop Blake and of course, Dr. Balton have already, you know, laid the foundation, and it's definitely God ordained. I mean, you can see it, we're sustaining. And so, fortunately, I don't see issues when I talk to the community. Now, are there issues out there? There are plenty. And can West Angeles tackle all the issues or address all the issues? No. It's everyone in. This is a faith-based. We need all the Black churches to come in and support this mission.
Mm-hmm. Everyone in, that's what I see, you know.
Yes.
Our friend Vice Mayor Rex Richardson has been talking about that. Everyone in, you know.
Yeah, I just got his email this morning. Okay.
That's right. So the legacy is there.
And for being a board member, because without your commitment and your loyalty, West Angeles CDC, even though we have a fantastic staff, but it's the board that comes together and bring all these ideas and suggestions and make this an innovative nonprofit organization. So again, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Now, you travel across pre-pandemic. I mean, you got a chance to travel around a little bit and see and talk to other, you know, church communities that may want to start a CDC. I mean, West Angeles CDC is kind of the standard bearer, right, of yes, faith-based community development, and people in all, you know, Black communities all across the country. There's churches that say, hey, you know what, I want to do that. You know, how receptive, let me just say that, do you see other Black churches across the country to the innovation that the CDC has put out there and been successful at? And then, you know, when you want to, I mean, sometimes it's really out of the box, right? You know, from normal churching, right. You know, so how receptive are the folks, you know, across the country?
Yeah. Well, you know, Greg, it's interesting. We get phone calls from all over the world. Um, a lot of the churches would love to start a CDC. Some of them are not sure how to start. We get those conversations and we direct them. For example, lately I've been directing them to call Dr. Lou Balton because she has the book on how to start, a CDC and become successful. We have churches right now that we're working with because they have vacant lots. And they know the need right now with the homelessness, I call it our other pandemic. With that going on, they want to build affordable housing. And as you know, we have over 400 units and we provide shelter for over 500 families in West Angeles CDC's affordable housing units. And so over 200 of those families are seniors. And we have the social services that go with that, which means during a pandemic, we've partnered with the different hospitals or medical clinics, and they come to our site and make sure that our seniors are vaccinated, that they receive their testing, if they're interested in all of that. And so the word is out there and they know what we're doing. And so we get lots of calls from churches who say, I want to get started. What can I do? And Greg, what I try to tell them is, the same thing I just told you. There are plenty of needs out there, but we can't do it all, right? And so we need everyone in. And so I tell them, don't try to do everything West Angeles CDC is doing. Start with feeding the homeless. Or if you have a vacant lot, start with building affordable housing and work your way up. But don't try to take this world, try to take it on by yourself, because we're all together. It's like that famous quote, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to fight these battles that we're facing today.
Now, let me ask you now, one of your areas is the, emergency assistance. What does that mean? Like, so what is that? What is that community assistant piece? What is that?
Exactly. Exactly what it says. It's an emergency assistance department. Our Skid Row ministry is there where we feed over 10,000 clients each year. We serve over 20 clients, but in our Skid Row ministry, we serve hot meals daily, and we serve these meals to our seniors, to various families. We go out to the homeless community. We also have our criminal reform program there, and that's where we keep individuals from going back to prison or back to jail. We provide, again, we try to make them whole. We provide our financial literacy counseling with them. We also, let's say it's a person that should be on Social Security or collecting veterans benefits. We hold them by their hand, make sure they fill out the right applications. So now they have money coming in, they've taken our financial literacy class, they know how to budget. We feed them, house them, shelter them. And so we start with temporary housing, I believe, for the first 3 months. And during that time, we make sure that there's permanent housing before they leave the program. And so that's one of our programs that we're in with LA City. And then finally, we also have our COVID-19 rental relief program. And just during COVID we've already paid, I would say, at least over 600 families. We've helped them stay in their apartments or their homes through this program. And we call it United Funding because we have Mr. Bill Whitty from Related, all of our banks and some of our other partners who just, as I told you earlier, just called and said, what do you need? Here's the check. So we put that money together. And we still have that program going on. So if there's anyone out there and you were affected by COVID, whatever the reason might be, and it's related to COVID, and you're, a month or two behind on rent, please give us a call, 323-751-3440. And I'm sure we'll be able to help you. And that is basically a summary of our community assistance department.
Yeah, give us that phone number one more time.
323-751-3440.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that Pastor Mark Whitlock was talking about is, kind of the church standing in the gap, right? Have these relationships with government, have these relationships with, the banking community, the other social services communities in our community to make all of this stuff happen. And it's what you're describing right now is exactly that. You're standing in the gap and being kind of the conduit for all of these different entities to come together, where without the faith-based organization standing there, maybe they wouldn't be talking to each other on these benevolent terms, or maybe some people wouldn't even give a care, And
Right.
that's really, really a good strategic space to be.
Greg,
Let me
if I
ask you
can
this,
say,
though.
go ahead.
So you were talking about testing, in some of your programs. Now that we're in these throes, I mean, every day you're hearing, I mean, the news is just overwhelming with the COVID-19 and all of that. And how is the CDC? Are you participating in the testing programs? I know they have the blackchurchtesting.com going on right now, and
Yeah.
getting all of these churches together. Are you part of that?
So, Greg, as you know, we're the outreach of West Angeles Church. So, West Angeles Church at the Cathedral, they actually have a site there where you can come in. I believe it's Sunday through Friday. I'm not sure about Saturday, but I know Sunday and Monday through Friday, you can go there and get free testing. So the church is doing that part. But as I said, we actually have medical sites coming to our housing projects to give our seniors the testing that they need, or vaccinations. Well, I should say the vaccinations, we've actually been able to get them over to CVS or something like that. But for the testing, they actually come here. Matter of fact, they might be here today because I think they're here this week.
Wow, that's incredible stuff. We're going to dissect that whole Black church testing, I think, next week. We
Okay.
want to have one of the city health officers to talk about the increased cases that we're hearing about, and then maybe have someone from the church community who's very active in this come through and just kind of tear it apart and put it together. That's going to be next week, y'all. So, we got some shows coming up for you. Good stuff.
Right.
Good stuff. Okay, so I see the curve over there, the West Angeles curve on 54th and Crenshaw. There's a nice looking building over there. Wow. Tell us a little bit about that accomplishment.
Yes, so the curve at West Angeles is right on 54th and Crenshaw. It's our 70 unit senior housing project. It's our latest, of course. Also, we actually opened, I believe, October 2019. And I think by December, we were 100% at capacity because we only have 70 units. But my point is, I think we still had more than 3,000 clients still on the list waiting, for housing. These are our seniors. So first, that lets you know the need that's out there for affordable housing for our seniors. Along with that, I believe March 20th was going to be our ribbon cutting of 2020, but you know what happened? COVID hit, and it was just like 3 days before, and we just couldn't push that, because there was no gathering of, X amount of individuals. So we haven't had the ribbon cutting yet, but that project is going well. As I said, it's at capacity. We have commercial space in there. We have a boardroom. We named it the Bishop Charles E. Blake boardroom. Upstairs, there's a beautiful community room with computers, and that was named our Dr. Lula Balton community room.
Yeah, it's really, really something. I know that it was still under construction, and I went by there just to take some pictures on my phone, and people were literally rolling up in their wheelchairs and walking up there with their walkers, driving up, trying to find out, okay, where do I apply? Where do I apply? So you could literally see the need with the seniors for housing. And then I think that when we look at our community and we have these discussions about, we use the term affordable housing, and it's a very broad stroke term, but the reality of it is that we got to take care of our seniors in our Black communities. And it's a glaring need, and almost one that I think, we may take it for granted if we don't keep promoting that, we need to build affordable housing for seniors. We need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. Take care of the elders.
Right, exactly. And Greg, to your point earlier about the Black church being involved in community development, another important reason is people need to know that the Black church and all churches, they need funding to make everything happen, to come and preach to the congregation and everything that goes on to keep the community, to keep the congregation involved. But they also need to know and see where that money is going. So when you see that money going back out to the community, helping those who are less fortunate, that your giving is going in the right direction. And so again, it's not only, I know you're talking about the Black church. And so of course, even more the Black church, we've got to be involved, but the church period, faith-based, we've got to be involved in this thing.
For sure. And, we speak on the Black church because that's who we're talking to on this program
I get it.
Culturally relevant, conversation from a global perspective. It is, it's interesting you say that because one of the conversations with Pastor Whitlock the other day was just that, where he felt like, a lot of churches have, we had a generation of churching where the emphasis was so much on giving, but the money wasn't really reaching into these benevolent spaces that we're talking about, and he's pretty strong. I'll actually have to put that out there again for y'all. Well, y'all can just go to Coffee Conversations with Greg J. Look at our MLK special that we did on this past Monday, and you'll be able to hear that very, very profound discussion. But I do think that when, as churching in the Black community changes, right? And you're right. I guess you could apply this to the whole faith-based, diaspora, if you will. But, there is a fundamental generational change right now. Are the young people going to church? Are they giving in the same ways that they were before, which is an interesting conversation that needs to be had, because I think that now the coming generations, the Gen Zs, the millennials and all that, while they may not be attending the church building in the traditional ways, when we begin to study charitable giving, not just in the faith-based sector, but in the arts sector and the whole of philanthropy, we will see that the highest percentages are coming from the millennials. I've been binge watching this show on Showtime called Billions, right? And it's about these super billionaire people. It's very good. But there is a dynamic of tension between the millennial Gen Z, investment bankers against the old school ones. And you see these brilliant, highly educated, investment traders coming into the office, but they are making sure that the trades that they're making are, not going to hurt the environment. They're just very altruistic, very community driven, where before it was just like, okay, how much money are we going to make? All this? And where now the younger people are saying, yeah, we can make all this money, but we want to make sure that the money is going through and out to the community to improve our standard of living. And I think that when we boil that all down to faith-based, I think we're kind of faced with the same thing. And so when you see now, church is different, COVID, church is different, breaking paradigms and all that, but is the giving different? And how, let me ask you the question is, how does the CDC plan to communicate to younger supporters of faith-based organizations and let them know that, hey, we're doing the right thing out in the community?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question, Greg, because actually I was reading an article this week and it basically focused on, the last 2 years during this pandemic. And as you know, and every pastor the churches were already facing the issue of members watching online and not actually coming to the church house. And so over the last 2 years, and then plus the church is closing down, even though they reopened, even more so people are more comfortable watching church, online. Those who might have felt guilty before, wanted to do it, but wouldn't. Now they're comfortable. And so with that, it also mentioned about the decline in the offering, over these 2 years. But at the same time, it gave hope for the future that you still may have less people sitting in your sanctuary, but they're connected online and they are still giving online, making a difference. But I say that to say, for nonprofit organizations who would like to start, don't be dismayed or disappointed about that. Because again, when I say I'm from aerospace, I'm from the Boeing company, right? Corporate. I feel like I'm working at a mini Boeing company here. Yes, we receive funding from the church, but we're out there. We're getting funding from the state, from the Fed, from the city. We're working with everyone. So you have to go out and make relationships. You have to partner. You can't just, it's faith-based, which means it's faith. It's your church representing, the community, or you representing the church, however you want to say that. But we have to go out and be creative, and we can't just rely on the church only to do these programs, because the church has to run the church too. And then this is the outreach of the church, and you need that, but you need more than just an outreach. You got to make sure, that you're solid. And so that's how you will be able to promote those programs. Don't get discouraged because the offering plate is low and, oh, that means I can't do it. No, that means you can start it and you can go out there and start building those relationships.
Because West Angeles CDC essentially is a separate entity from the West Angeles Church.
Exactly, a separate entity. And if I understand, I think most of the faith-based organizations within Los Angeles are CDCs, but they're under the church.
I see.
I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, West Angeles is a separate entity, but still being the outreach.
So you're like Vermont Slauson economic.
Yeah. Like United Way, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it can happen. That's my point.
Right. So what's the biggest challenge though? Like the one that just makes you say, man, I wish we could have more resources, or I wish we could solve this problem. What's the biggest problem that you see right now?
Wow. The one that I dream about, wake up about, pray about every day. We have the resources, God. Can you give us the solution? How do we handle this homelessness situation? We have the money, Greg. But obviously, we don't have the solution because it's just growing bigger and bigger every day. I know that we're housing the homeless community every day. If I'm not mistaken, for every 200 that they house today, another 200 show up at their door tomorrow. So it's just constant. That is the biggest issue that I see right now, which coincides with our housing projects. That's why we do need more affordable housing projects and, these homelessness, I think they're called villages. We need to, look into that also. But basically housing, I think that will summarize it, housing.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I know you tried a few things. You would have some showers out there. Belinda built some showers out on the streets. For the people to get come on, get cleaned up and whatnot. Let's try something.
Yeah, we did, Greg. During the pandemic, we actually partnered with the councilman, and we brought in portable showers on one of our lots here off of Crenshaw, so that the homeless community could come there. It's right across the street from a church, which worked perfect. But they could come there, get cleaned, and I believe we handed them, clean clothes as they were coming out, and also food, Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is my heart, to be honest. And I know the scripture says the poor you'll have with you always, but at the same time, Jesus said, help them.
Let me ask you a little bit about the homelessness, because Tuesday we were talking to the Honorable Jan Perry, and she's now the executive director of an organization, Shelter Partnership. And we had a pretty robust conversation about homelessness in the city and just how it's overwhelming, right? It's just overwhelming. Now, what do you see the West Angeles CDC intersecting with like mental health workers and all of that to help provide services to the homeless on the street? Because sometimes I guess there's a lot of people that will say, okay, some of the homeless folks don't want to go in. Others will say, that it's a mental health problem. I mean, now, as an example, we're talking, let's keep it real. I mean, now we're thinking about safety because, the young woman
Yeah,
was
what just
stabbed
happened.
up there in Hancock Park, and then the sister was beat up and died from over there
Yep.
in front of the Union Station. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
clearly mental health is an issue. Can the CDC
Yes.
help advance those services to the street?
Yeah, so Greg, and if you go back, this didn't just happen. I remember years ago, again, while I was at Boeing, right there at LAX, there was a homeless man. If I'm not mistaken, he killed the police officer. And so this isn't new. It's growing, of course, and it's gotten worse even during this pandemic. You mentioned Jan Perry. We have a luncheon coming up to talk about this issue. We just spoke, I think it was last week, and we're going to be meeting shortly to talk about this issue. But so yes, and we're also working with, we're putting a proposal together right now. We've been doing presentations with one of our other partners in the city that addresses the homelessness issue. And it's interesting because they ask us, what is different about West Angeles CDC? Like what's so special about a faith-based organization handling the homelessness situation versus, a secular charity? And we told them, our answer was, we're faith-based, which means we take our time with them. We know that there's mental challenges going on, so we will make sure that they are connected to the right medical services. As you know, we partner with Providence and some of the other hospitals here in the city. We also let them know, because we want the person to be whole, not just take them off the street and then just force them into a house, because if they're having mental challenges, that's not what they're looking for. And if we go back to our community assistance department, Greg, where Karen Downard is the manager there, and her along with the entire staff, they are so passionate about the community, and they have such a great understanding for what these individuals are going through. And they actually take time, and if it takes 3 months, we have a person. For example, when she came in last year, she told us, I want help, but this is how I want it. She's going to tell us what to do, right? And we knew there were mental challenges and a lot of things going on. And she was very private and secretive at the same time. But I have to give it up to Karen. Karen was able to win her confidence. She opened up to Karen. She told her everything. Her family had been trying to help her do certain things, and they weren't able to. But bottom line, after 3 months, this person finally came back and said, I'm ready now. I'm ready to take the financial literacy classes. I'm ready to sign up. I'm ready to get a job. I want permanent housing. And we just stuck with her that whole time. We didn't say, okay, let's go to the next one, because what is the United Way slogan? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we have to take it one at a time, because that's a slower process. In the meantime, of course, we're still gathering, other going out there, actually talking to these homeless individuals. We know where the hot spots are, and we actually go there and feed them. And so we are planning to definitely put a dent in somewhere in LA in one of these hot spots.
Yeah, Karen Downer, boy, that's a dynamic woman right there. She's making it happen over there. Props there. And Tracy and man, Carolyn Patton.
Yeah,
Denise,
Carolyn's running our
Josiah, all
financial.
y'all over there at the CDC.
Yeah, Erica Freeman.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, everyone is compassionate, very compassionate, Greg. If I could quickly say, even last year, at the end of the year, when we had met our budget for helping the rental and the mortgage COVID relief program, Karen's department came to me and said, Belinda, I know we've spent X amount of dollars already, but we've got X amount of applications still sitting on our desk. How do we tell these people, that it's closed? You got to wait till next year. And I could just hear it in their voice. And so I looked in our operating budget and said, okay, here's the funding. Don't accept any more until next year, but here, let's go ahead and pay help these individuals stay in their house. So they're very, very compassionate about what it is they do. One more thing I wanted to say, Greg, because you mentioned Pastor Whitlock a few times, and I wanted to say it and forgot. But as you know, I've already stated that I retired from aerospace. So when I came over here, even though I had been on the board, I'm going to be honest, in those boardrooms, every time the ED came in, I've always said, that is not the job I want. Thank God that's Lula Balton coming in here, or that's Tanua. It's not me. And of course, now it's me, and it's very comfortable. It's rewarding and all of that. But when I came here that first month, I was like, oh God, this is different from Boeing. It's different from sitting on the board. And I went to an event that CIT had. Byron Reed, our board chairman, had invited me. And I'm looking around and I see Pastor Whitlock sitting down. And we started a conversation, and he started telling me about, him being one of the professors at USC and how they had this CDC transformation program. He knew nothing about me going online to UCLA, USC. I was looking everywhere to find some training for a community development corporation. I said, I need some quick training. But that was God sent. He was God sent. And so he invited me. He told me he had just received a grant from one of the foundations. He could invite 5 CDC, faith-based CDCs. He had 4 and had room for 1 more. And I said, well, then that must be for me. And so he invited me in, and we went through that program. It was very, very rewarding. I learned so much, and have gotten a little more comfortable, since that class. But another shout out to Pastor Whitlock, who is, I don't know, the number one, the know-it-all for faith-based CDCs. He's got that down pat.
Yeah, he's got it, and influenced by Chip Murray over there, Pastor Chip Murray.
And that's Dr. Bishop and Reverend, all of those Whitlock.
Yes. got all the titles. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Now, okay, let me ask you a question. One thing that for me that we've been observing is so access to technology, right? In our Black community is becoming, first of all, it's just crazy expensive. And in some places, you're not getting the bandwidth that you would in other communities and everything. Maybe even when we went into pandemic lockdown, and we're seeing, schools in the inner city, students in the inner city having access problems so that they can't take these, at-home learning classes and all of this kind of stuff. Has the CDC ever thought about advocating for better, broadband access in the communities, or working with, say, you have good relationships with the different city council people and all that? Mm-hmm. Is this do you see something like that in the future for the CDC to advance technology access in the community?
Yeah. That would be interesting, Greg. We actually have not. We've just completed our 5-year strategic plan. That is not part of it right now. It doesn't mean that we can't explore it. Maybe it's something that we can talk about on the board, but that is definitely an issue. The services we were able to provide, I believe it was just before the pandemic, we received a grant from one of the foundations to actually upgrade all of our IT. Hallelujah. And so with the IT that we had before, we didn't sell it. We didn't throw it away. We donated it. And we donated it to individuals, again, who were in school, that needed a laptop because they couldn't afford it. Their parent couldn't afford it or whatever. There were other churches in the community, and even some of the schools that needed laptops or whatever. And so we donated all that. Here at the CDC, again, I told you about the community room and our new senior housing at the Curve. If you could look at that, or just take a walk through there, you will see that it's upgraded. We have state of the art IT in there. And we actually, Erica Freeman goes over there and she teaches our seniors how to navigate on the computer. Here at the CDC, at our corporate office in our community room, we have extra computers out there, and it's for the community. Of course, during COVID, we had to close it down, but prior to COVID, in this case, so they can come in if they wanted to apply for a job or whatever that need was. Carolyn Patton actually assisted them in making sure, and even today, helping our seniors, whatever it is they need to fill out, making sure that they're up to speed. So we've been doing it locally, internally, if you will, but that's something that we can definitely, we should probably explore it eventually in the boardroom.
Mm-hmm. You know, the Crenshaw corridor seems to be one of your main targets of service. Well, I know you're all over the city, but I know we talk a lot about the Crenshaw corridor and all of that.
We're all over.
The conversation nowadays, when we read, you know, all the Black newspapers, Sentinel, Watts Times, The Wave, all of them, you know, everybody talks about that G word, gentrification.
Gentrification.
So what's your take on gentrification in general, but then and specifically as it pertains to the Crenshaw corridor?
Yeah. So, Greg, as you know, gentrification has its pros and cons, right? We say we want to be together. We don't want segregation. So that definitely desegregates everyone. But at the same time, it has to be strategically done. You can't go in and force the community out of their community, moving them way out. You know, right now, for example, we usually have I know we have over 100 first-time home buyers each year. And that's through our webinar training right now. And that's the good part, is that they're first-time home buyers. The sad part is that we have to send them to Riverside area or Lancaster, but they live right here in the city. And so, and again, that's another way of increasing gentrification, because we're moving everyone out. You're getting phone calls offering you, you know, all this money to sell your house. And some of our community, some of our homeowners in the community think, oh, that's a great deal. That's money. Let's take it. And then you take it, and then they come in and they build it up. And so eventually, before you know it, you're out the community. So again, I think it has its pros and cons. It needs to be strategically done. It needs to be fair. It needs to be done fair. Don't come in and play games. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's my take on gentrification.
Yeah, it's already here, because I know Inglewood.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you go to the grocery store, you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's why I said before you know it, it'll be here. I mean, it's here, but before you know it, it would be done. Right. You know, you're like, what happened? When did it happen? As you said, it's slowly. You're seeing it every day, everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm. All right, you got your big gala coming up, man. That you know, I remember all the way back. The first one was like, remember the guy Willie Williams was.
Oh my goodness!
Police chief, right?
That was back in the day.
Back in the day, he's gone on to be with the Lord or wherever he's at.
Oh, that's right. He did pass away. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. But before we talk about the gala, did you want to just talk about our Crenshaw Crossing project that's coming up? That's our next new project, or is that something you want to ask about later?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I mean, because I know we talked about community housing and affordable housing and all that. And so I just wanted to mention that that's our next groundbreaking that's coming up. Crenshaw Crossing is located directly across the street from the beautiful West Angeles Cathedral at Exposition and Crenshaw. There'll be 400 units plus commercial space, which means we'll be creating jobs for the community. There'll be job training, probably a small grocery store. But we're excited about this project. We started off with 15% of those units being affordable. We listened to the community back and forth. They kept knocking on our doors. No. 15% is too low. We've got to increase that. And so now we're at 20%, but we're also in the process of working in the right areas to hopefully bring this project up to 100% affordability. So again, we're in that project with the Watt Company. And even though we're still at 20% today, we are constantly working on increasing that number drastically.
Yeah, that intersection right there is about to be really great
Oh,
because
yes.
that's where the
Oh, yes.
Crenshaw line, you'll be able to get right there, get on
Metro.
the train and go right into the
Yep.
airport.
Exactly. It's
I
the
can park in
happening.
West Angeles and go to Africa.
That's right. We can go back to South Africa.
Yes. Wow.
And Greg, I know no, I'm not going to say that. Go ahead.
Wow. No, that's pretty good. And so you said 400 units.
It's going to be 400 units. Yes.
Man, that's going to be a tall building, eh?
Yes, it will be tall. I believe there's underground parking. So, not too high, but I tell you what, we made sure we did not cover the West Angeles Cathedral.
I see. Let me ask you this question. So that's right across the street is there's a little strip mall there where all you hip hop heads remember the Good Life used to be up in there in the cut right there. And what is it? Domino's Pizza. What else? I think there's a health thingy right there.
5 little mom and pop stores right in that little area.
So what happens to them when you start?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'd have to get back with you on.
Okay. I'm just curious. There's barbershop in there, all that is right there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This
is good stuff, though.
Yeah, back to our gala. So we're celebrating our 28th annual Unity Awards. It's going to be a virtual gala. It's our second virtual, and the world knows why. Our theme is rebuilding communities post-pandemic. It's Thursday, February 24th at 6:00 p.m. You don't want to miss it. We'll be honoring as Family of the Year, the Honorable Governor Newsom and the first partner, Jennifer Newsom, and the entire Newsom family. We also have the Honorable U.S. Congresswoman Karen Bass for the 37th District. We'll be honoring her as Woman of the Year. Our Outstanding Community Business Partner Award goes to Union Bank. And then we have the Community Wealth Building Award that goes to Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters. And then, Greg, we have a great lineup of entertainment. Donnie McClurkin, the award-winning gospel artist, and also the pastor of Perfecting Faith Church out of New York. We also have the Jeffrey Osborne, award-winning singer-songwriter. And finally, all right, he's not going to do the woo, since it's faith-based. But we got a brother in
the name of the Lord.
That's true. We try to tell him that. This is Jeffrey Osborne saying it's faith-based. I can't do that. This is what he's saying. We're like, it's faith-based. It means everyone in. But, he has respect for the house of God. This is what the training his parents has given him. So we respect that. And so he's going to still perform, make it good. And we have Mark Allen Felton, our saxophonist extraordinaire. So it's going to be great. For more information, go to westangelescdc.org. And I see you put it up there.
Wow. Karen Bass, she's about to be the mayor.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Mayor of Long Beach, right?
No, I'm talking about Karen Bass. I
said hi, Rhonda, and you said she's about to be the mayor. You're right.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, Rhonda Love in there. Rhonda Love.
Yes, I said, Rhonda's going to run for Long Beach mayor. Okay. Yes, Karen Bass. Right.
Low-key,
it's all out there.
She already running Long Beach.
Okay. Hey, girl. Yeah, yes, you're right. Back to Karen Bass. Yes, she. So we're going to welcome her next month to Los Angeles.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Wow. Yeah, the gala is one of the must attend events on the LA social calendar, and it's really important to support. You're supporting a great event. And really gaining a clear understanding of what one of our premier institutions in, in Black Los Angeles is doing. But, you guys don't just do LA though, right?
Oh, no, Greg, we are, you know what, before the pandemic, I can tell you, I believe we were north of the 105 freeway and south of the 10, and then east of La Cienega and west of, I believe, Main Street. But lately, we are everywhere. We've been helping everybody stay in their house during COVID. And so, and if you need food, call us. We'll get that to you. So we've just, our arms are stretched out right now, and we're just helping everyone who's in need. Of course, if it's a county project and it has to be LA County, that's different. Then we're only helping LA County. But it depends on the type of funding that we have. We try to make sure that we're reaching the world.
All right. Well, what date is the gala? I don't think we said that.
The gala, Thursday, February 24th. That is I believe, the fourth Thursday of February at 6:00 p.m. We're going to start off with our parade of stars, and then go right into the gala. So again, you don't want to miss it. We had so much fun last year, and so we plan on this being exciting again.
All right. This is really great. West Angeles Community Development Corporation, the positive light in our community, doing it, you guys.
Definitely.
And that's why we want to, you just have this conversation so folks can, really, really understand and see, what we're doing out here in these here streets, try to make it a better place to live, fighting the good fight. Any last words you want to say to the people?
Yeah, well, first, Greg, I want to thank you for getting me away from my notes. I thought I had kind of planned, a little footnote here and there. And when you said, hey, just speak from the heart, what's happening, what's going on, that made it more real for me. And so I thank you and I appreciate that. That means you're doing a good job.
And thank you so much. Thank you for coming through. Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to say to the people, be encouraged. I know there's a lot going on, but know that West Angeles CDC has your back, but more importantly, God has your back. And so again, to these faith-based CDCs that have started and those that have not started yet, if you haven't started, give us a call. If we can't help you, we'll definitely direct you the right way. But we need you to come in because we need everyone in order to fight this battle out here. So again, thank you, Greg, and peace and blessings to everyone.
Yes, peace and blessings. That's a great thing. Thank you, Dr. Belinda Allen, Executive Director, West Angeles Community Development Corporation. If you missed this, don't fret. You can go right there to Coffee Conversations with Greg J, our Facebook page, and you can see it. You'll see it come up on YouTube. And then don't fret if you're driving around, moving around. We always repurpose the audio and put it out there as a podcast. Get Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeart, Google, just wherever you get your favorite podcast. Go out there, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. Thank you so much for listening. Man, next week, Tuesday, we're switching over to the Museum of Latin American Art over there in the beautiful city of Long Beach. Fantastic. They're celebrating 25 years. And so we're going to talk to them a little bit about their origins and, try to spice it on up around these parts.
You're doing it, Greg J.
Try to make it all happen, Well, y'all, there it is. I hope you make it the best day ever. Remember to love one another. Love one another. Love one another. Peace and blessings.
Right. Out.